thought, that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, has now appeared as one of the descendants of the Yadu dynasty. The principles of religion are his enacted laws. Those who are abiding by such laws are demigods, and those who are not abiding are demons. He has advented himself to give protection to the demigods, who are very obedient to the laws of the Supreme Lord. The demigods and the devotees of the Lord take pleasure in abiding by the laws of Bhagavad Gita. These activities of Krishna, he is protecting the devotees and killing the demons, are always good for men to hear and narrate. The glorious activities of the Lord will ever increasingly be chanted by the devotees and demigods. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the spiritual master of all spiritual masters. He is the deliverer of all fallen souls and the proprietor of the three worlds. Anyone who is able to see him by eyes smeared with love of Godhead enjoys a festival of seeing. Today I shall be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who by his transcendental beauty has attracted the goddess of fortune to live with him perpetually. As soon as I arrive in Vrindavan, I will get down from this chariot and fall prostrate to offer my obeisances to the Supreme Lord, the Master of material nature and all living entities. The lotus feet of Krishna are always worshipped by great mystic yogis, so I shall also worship his lotus feet and become one of his friends in Vrindavan like the cowherd boys. When I bow down before Lord Krishna in that way, certainly he will place his fearless lotus hand on my head. His hand is offered to all conditioned souls who take shelter under his lotus feet. Krishna is the ultimate goal of life for all people who fear material existence, and certainly when I see him, he will give me the shelter of his lotus feet. I am aspiring for the touch of his lotus-like hand on my head. When that hand touched the presentations of King Indra and King Bali, these two became qualified to be lords of the universe. And when that hand touched the gopis as they danced with Krishna in the Rasa Leela, it relieved all their fatigue. In this way, Akrūra expected blessings from the hand of Krishna. He knew that Indra, who is the king of heaven and the master of the three worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems, was blessed by the Lord simply for his offering a little water, which Krishna accepted. Similarly, Bali Maharaj gave only 3 paces of land in charity to Vamanadev, and he also offered a little water which Lord Vamanadev accepted, and thereby Bali Maharaj attained the position of Indra. When the gopis were dancing with Krishna in the Rasa dance, they became fatigued, and Krishna wiped his hand, which is as fragrant as a lotus flower growing in Manasa Sarova lake, over the pearl-like drops of perspiration on the faces of the gopis, and immediately the gopis became refreshed. Thus, Akrūra was expecting benediction from that supreme hand of Krishna. Krishna's hand is capable of bestowing benediction upon all kinds of men if they take to Krishna consciousness. If one wants material happiness like that of the King of Heaven, he can derive that benediction from the hand of Krishna. If one wants liberation from the pangs of material existence, he can also get that benediction from the hand of Krishna. And if one in pure transcendental love for Krishna wants personal association and the touch of his transcendental body, he can also gain that benediction from his hand. Akrūra was afraid, however, because he had been deputed by Kamsa, the enemy of Krishna. He thought, I am going to see Krishna as a messenger of the enemy. At the same time, he thought, Krishna is in everyone's heart as the supersoul, so he must know my heart. Although Akrūra was trusted by the enemy of Krishna, his heart was clear. He was a pure devotee of Krishna. He risked becoming Kamsa's deputy just to meet Krishna. He was certain that although he was going as a representative of Kamsa, Krishna would not accept him as an enemy. Even though I am on a sinful mission, being deputed by Kamsa, when I approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I shall stand before him with all humility and folded hands. Surely he will be pleased with my devotional attitude, and maybe he will smile lovingly and look upon me, and thereby free me from all kinds of sinful reactions. I shall then be on the platform of transcendental bliss and knowledge. Since Krishna knows my heart, certainly when I approach him, he will embrace me. Not only am I a member of the Yadu dynasty, But I am his relative and an unalloyed pure devotee. By his merciful embrace, surely my body, heart, and soul will be completely cleansed of the actions and reactions of my past life. When our bodies touch, I will immediately stand up with folded hands, with all humility. Certainly, Krishna and Balaram will call me Akrūra, uncle, and at that time my whole life will be glorious. Unless one is recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his life cannot be successful. It is clearly stated here that one should try to be recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead by one's service and devotion, without which the human form of life is condemned. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, is equal to everyone. He has no friends and no enemies, but he is inclined to a devotee who renders him service with devotional love. The Bhagavad Gita also declares that the Supreme Lord is responsive in proportion to the devotional service rendered by the devotee. Akrūra thought that Krishna was like the desire tree in the heavenly planets, which gives fruit according to the desire of the worshipper. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is also the source of everything. A devotee must know how to render service unto him and thus be recognized by him. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is therefore explained that one should serve both the spiritual master and Krishna simultaneously, and in that way make progress in Krishna consciousness. Service rendered to Krishna under the direction of the spiritual master is bona fide service, because the spiritual master is the manifested representative of Krishna. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that when one satisfies the spiritual master, he satisfies the Supreme Lord. It is exactly like service in a government office. One has to work under the supervision of the departmental head. If the supervisor of the department is satisfied with the service of a particular person, a promotion and increase in pay will automatically come. Akrūra then thought, when Krishna and Balaram are pleased with my behavior, certainly they will take my hand, receive me within their home, and offer me all kinds of respectable hospitalities, and they will surely ask me about the activities of Kamsa and his friends. In this way, Akrūra, the son of Svapalka, meditated on Sri Krishna on his journey from Mathura. He reached Vrindavan by the end of the day. Akrūra passed the whole journey without knowing how long it took. When he reached Vrindavan, the sun was setting. As soon as he entered the boundary of Vrindavan, he saw the hoofprints of the cows and Lord Krishna's footprints, impressed with the signs of his souls, the flag, trident, thunderbolt, and lotus flower. These symbols on the soles of the Lord's transcendental lotus feet are worshipped by all the demigods and other great personalities throughout the three worlds. Upon seeing the footprints of Krishna, Akrūra immediately jumped down from the chariot out of respect. He became overwhelmed with all the symptoms of ecstasy. He wept and his body trembled. Out of extreme jubilation upon seeing the dust touched by the lotus feet of Krishna, Akrūra fell flat on his face and began to roll on the ground. Akrūra's journey to Vrindavan is exemplary. One who intends to visit Vrindavan should follow the ideal footsteps of Akrūra and always think of the pastimes and activities of the Lord. As soon as one reaches the boundary of Vrindavan, he should immediately smear the dust of Vrindavan over his body without thinking of his material position and prestige. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung in a celebrated song, Vishaya Chadiya Kabe Shuddha Habe Mana. When my mind will be purified after leaving the contamination of material sense enjoyment, I shall be able to visit Vrindavan. Actually, one cannot go to Vrindavan by purchasing a ticket. The process of going to Vrindavan is shown by Akrūra. When Akrūra entered Vrindavan, he saw Krishna and Balaram engaged in supervising the milking of the cows. Krishna was dressed in yellow garments and Balaram in bluish. Akrūra also saw that their eyes were exactly like the beautiful lotus flower that grows during the autumn season. He saw Krishna and Balaram in the spring of their youth. Although they had the same bodily features, Krishna was blackish in complexion, whereas Balaram was whitish. Both were the shelter of the goddess of fortune. They had well-constructed bodies, beautiful hands, and pleasing faces, and they were as strong as elephants. Now, after seeing their footprints marked with flag, trident, thunderbolt, and lotus, Akrūra actually saw Krishna and Balaram face to face. Although they were the most influential personalities, they were glancing at him with smiling faces. Akrūra could understand that both Krishna and Balaram had returned from tending the cows in the forest. They had taken their baths and were dressed with fresh clothing and garlanded with flowers and with necklaces made of valuable jewels. Their bodies were smeared with the pulp of sandalwood. Akrūra greatly appreciated the aroma of the flowers. Akrūra greatly appreciated the aroma of the flowers and sandalwood and their bodily presence. He considered himself very fortunate to see Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his plenary expansion, Balaram, face to face, for he knew that they were the original personalities of the creation. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and the cause of all causes. Akrūra could understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had appeared personally for the welfare of his creation, to re-establish the principles of religion and to annihilate the demons. With their bodily effulgence, the brothers were dissipating all the darkness of the world, as if they were mountains of sapphire and silver. Without hesitating, Akrūra immediately got down from his chariot and fell flat, just like a rod, before Krishna and Balaram. Upon touching the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he became overwhelmed with transcendental bliss. His voice choked up, and he could not speak. Due to his transcendental pleasure, incessant torrents of tears fell from his eyes. He remained stunned in ecstasy, as if devoid of all powers to see and speak. Lord Krishna, who is very kind to his devotees, raised Akrūra with his hand and embraced him. It appeared that Lord Krishna was very much pleased with Akrūra. Balaram also embraced Akrūra. Then the two lords took him by the hand and brought him to their sitting room, where they offered him a very nice sitting place and water for washing his feet. They also worshipped him with a suitable presentation of honey mixed with other ingredients. When Akrūra was thus comfortably seated, Krishna and Balaram offered him a cow in charity and then brought very palatable dishes, and Akrūra accepted them. When Akrūra finished eating, Balaram gave him betel nut and spices, as well as pulp of sandalwood, just to make him more pleased and comfortable. The Vedic system of receiving a guest was completely observed by Lord Krishna himself to teach all others how to receive a guest at home. It is a Vedic injunction that even if a guest is an enemy, he should be received so well that he does not apprehend any danger from the host. If the host is a poor man, he should at least offer a straw mat as a sitting place and a glass of water to drink. Krishna and Balaram welcomed Akrūra in a way just befitting his exalted position. After Akrūra was thus properly received and seated, Nanda Maharaj, the foster father of Krishna, said, "My dear Akrūra, what shall I inquire from you? I know that you are being protected by Kamsa, who is most cruel and demoniac. His protection is just like the slaughterhouse keeper's protection of animals he will kill in the future. Kamsa is so selfish that he has killed the sons of his own sister. So how can I honestly believe that he is protecting the citizens of Mathura?" This statement is most significant. If the political or executive heads of the state are simply interested in themselves, they can never look after the welfare of the citizens. As Nanda Maharaj spoke to Akrūra with pleasing words, Akrūra forgot all the fatigue of his day's journey from Mathura to Vrindavan. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 38th chapter of Krishna, Akrūra's Vrindavan.
Thank you. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kam Shana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vancha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyaiva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is a wonderful meditation by Akrūra. The day after Keshi and Vyomasura are killed, he heads out for Vrindavan in the morning. Let's get this straight. Heads out for Vrindavan in the morning, and naturally he's thinking of Krishna. The praying to the Lord and absorbed in thought of the Lord. With all of his personal features. He's not like an impersonalist meditating on the absolute truth. He's absorbed in thinking of the personality of Godhead. He thought himself unfit, but he thought that by Krishna's mercy, everything's possible. He thought that all the sins of his past lives would be finished and his life would be successful. We won't review every point, but he was thinking that the lotus feet of Krishna are worshipped by great demigods. Now I'll get to see those same lotus feet. I'll be able to see the beautiful face of Krishna, his smile, his curling black hair. I'll see the transcendental abode of Krishna. In this way, he was thinking. And he knew that Krishna is the supreme Vishnu. In this way, he's different from the inhabitants of Vrindavan. The Brajbasis don't know such things. But Akrūra, although he's thinking that Krishna is my nephew, he's also thinking that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the original Vishnu. By the arrangement of Yogamaya, both things are able to go on. by his internal potency, he's free from the material energy. And Vrindavan and its inhabitants are all manifestations of Krishna's internal energy. He thought that Krishna's activities, instructions, qualities, pastimes are all meant for the good fortune of everyone. And Prabhupada confirms that a Krishna conscious civilization is a real civilization. Otherwise, it's dead. There's many points here. The seeing Krishna as a festival for the eyes. And when I see Krishna, I'll get down from the chariot and offer obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he'll put his lotus hand on my head. Then that sort of launches a meditation on the lotus hands of Krishna, how Krishna touched the offerings of Indra and Bali, how he touched the gopis. In this way, anything, you can think of Krishna's hands on and on, you can think of Krishna's feet on and on. So he's meditating. Meditating means not like the yogis who are practicing some kind of focus of the mind. He's spontaneously absorbed in thinking of Krishna in pure devotional service. Then he thought, well, I've been deputed by Kamsa, that's not good. But then he thought that Krishna will know my heart and he'll welcome me. And he'll embrace me and everything will be, my body, heart, and soul will be purified. Krishna and Balaram will call me uncle. And in this way, Prabhupada comments, one should try to be recognized by Krishna. As Akrūra thought that Balaram and Krishna will certainly recognize me, one should try to be recognized by Krishna. And that's possible by service simultaneously to Krishna and the bona fide spiritual master. So in this way, whole day he's driving the chariot and he's absorbed in thinking of Krishna, thinking of Balaram, thinking of what it will be like when he gets there. Even ordinary person, he's going somewhere and he's thinking, when I get there, my cousins will be there or my friends will be there. But that thinking doesn't do him any good because they're all dolls of the material energy. But here, the same tendency to think of someone is there. But because that someone is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his thinking is perfect. So then he comes to the borders of Vrindavan at sunset, and he sees Krishna's lotus feet, and as described in Nectar Devotion, he says, how wonderful it is, how wonderful it is. And he rolls in the dust, and symptoms of ecstasy appear in his body. This is called anubhav. bodily symptoms that proceed from ecstasy. And Prabhupada said, this is the way to enter Vrindavan. You can't come with a ticket and proudly make your entrance into Vrindavan. But if one follows in the footsteps of Akrūra, one can actually enter to Vrindavan. And then he sees Krishna and Balaram engaged in supervising the milking of the cows. It doesn't say they're milking them, it's supervising the milking of the cows, and sees their beautiful bodily features, Krishna blackish, Balaram white, and all their wonderful personal bodily features. And he falls flat like a rod before Krishna and Balaram, touching their lotus feet. His voice chokes up, and Krishna raises Akrūra with his hand and embraces him. Balaram embraces Akrūra. So the good fortune that he was thinking of is now realized. And they bring him to his house, and they seat him comfortably and offer him nice food and a nice welcome, comforts. And then Nanda Maharaj is there, who gives a critical comment about Kamsa. How can he's supposed to be the protector of the citizens. What protection can he offer? He's like a keeper of a slaughterhouse, protecting the animals that he intends to kill. So the political or executive heads of the state, if simply interested in themselves, can never look after the welfare of the citizens. So in this way, as Nanda Maharaj is speaking to him, he forgets all the fatigue of his journey, and the chapter ends there. And I wonder what comments or questions we might have. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is just an observation. It seems to me, at least to me, that the mode of awe and reverence brought Krishna to Vrindavan, and now he's coming to claim him back in the form of Akrūra. It seems like he has a lot of awe and reverence. Now,
the mood of awe and reverence brought Krishna
Vasudev had the mode of like awe and reverence towards Krishna and brought him to Vrindavan. And now it seems like
Vasudev had a mood of awe and reverence. I don't know that that's so.
This is just a personal observation. I'm just asking you to confirm it or just say whether it's correct to think that way.
I haven't seen any comment from the Acharyas to that effect, that awe and reverence brought him to Vrindavan, and now awe and reverence is bringing him back. Vasudev sometimes understood that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At least we can say that in Mathura, Vasudeva and Devaki sometimes understood that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they were also covered by Yogamaya so that they thought of him as their son. Similarly, Akrūra is thinking of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original Vishnu, and yet he's thinking of Krishna and Balaram as his nephews also. So these are the wonderful workings of the internal energy, that both realizations or both ways of thinking are present in the same person.
So my question is, regards to the other mellows of brotherhood and fatherhood and conjugal love, is the mellow of awe and reverence the base to these other mellows, or it is absent?
No, awe and reverence is not inherent in all the relationships. The awe and reverence is completely absent from as soon as you get to friendship, or the higher side of friendship, because friendship has two levels, represented by Arjuna and the cowherd boys. Arjuna is a little bit respectful of Krishna, and the cowherd boys have no respect for Krishna. So as soon as you get to that level, higher level of friendship, then parental love, then conjugal love, there's no awe and reverence at all. Awe and reverence is found only in dasya, in the lower half of friendship. But what's present in all of these mellows is service. That's the basic principle of all the relationships. That it appears to be friendship, the way we think of friendship in this world, it appears to be parental affection. These are all, the basis for all of these relationships is service. The friends want to serve Krishna, the parents want to serve Krishna, the gopis want to serve Krishna. So that's the shared characteristic. Yes, Akrūra Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Very sweet reading. If you might please switch it. Green.
Hare Krishna. With regard to Akrūra seeing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also as his nephew, in the letter that Srila Prabhupada wrote to Makanlal, who was my temple president when I got initiated, giving me the name Akrūra Nath, he said that Krishna is the ward of Akrūra, but he's also the Lord of Akrūra.
So that Nath can be taken both ways.
Well, yeah, I don't know if Nath also is taken as ward, but
No, Lord.
it's Lord, yeah.
So he's the Lord of Krishna both ways. He's the respectful uncle of Krishna, and he's also the ward of Krishna.
Oh, I never thought of it. So Nath could refer to Akrūra himself. I always just thought my name was
I'm
Krishna.
stretching it.
was the
Maybe
name of Krishna.
I wouldn't put myself out on a limb for that, but at least in the relationship, it's true that Krishna takes the subordinate position. Akrūra is elder to Krishna. He's the uncle of Krishna. So as Kunti is the aunt of Krishna, so Krishna has these various superiors, not just his father and mother, but the older Brajbasis and Akrūra, Ugrasena. They're all superiors. So in that sense, not. They're superiors to Krishna. But ultimately, yes, Krishna is and that's firm ground, that he's the Lord of Akrūra. Akrūra Nath.
Das.
Das. So we're fortunate that for this reading we have Akrūra Nath Das. Yes.
Krishna.
Hare
Maharaj, I was just reading this line. As soon as he entered the boundary of Vrindavan, he saw the hoofprints of the cows and Lord Krishna's footprints, impressed with the sign of his soul, the flag, trident, thunderbolt, and lotus flower. So these symbols on the soles of the Lord Transcendental Lotus feet are worshipped by all the demigods and other great personalities throughout the three worlds. Upon seeing the footprints of Krishna, Akrūra immediately jumped down and the chariot out of respect. He became overwhelmed. My point is the hoofprints of cows and the soles of Krishna's. were carrying all these signs everywhere whenever he used to traverse across the Vrindavan. So was these symbols were visible to each and everyone, or was it only visible to the only who are like Lord devotee and all?
In Vrindavan, everyone's a devotee. Who's not a devotee in Vrindavan?
No, I'm saying these symbols in Lord's feet were visible to the all Vrindavan Vasis, or
Why
were
not?
just visible
They're all
to the...
devotees. Why should they not be able to see? They're all devotees. The devotee can see. Outsiders can't see, but they also can't come to Vrindavan.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I just want to ask that I wonder that Akrūra was not feeling sad at all to get such a service to drag Krishna and Balaram away from Vrindavan and take them away from, for me, it doesn't seem like a very nice mission.
First he does think, well, it doesn't seem like a very nice mission that Akrūra is going to interrupt, as it were, Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, going to take him away from Vrindavan, going to separate him from Brajbasis, especially the gopis. So is Akrūra sad about this? Well, first he does recognize that he's on in one sense, inauspicious mission, that he's been deputed by Kamsa, and that's who's Krishna's enemy. So that's mentioned in the text. He thought that I'm coming here as a representative of Kamsa. So, but then he thought that Krishna will know my heart, so he'll accept me. It's not mentioned that he thought further ahead that I'll be interrupting all these sweet pastimes in Vrindavan. I'll be taking Krishna away from the gopis. That's not mentioned as being in his thoughts. And of course, the gopis will criticize Akrūra. Akrūra means cruel. What is that? Kruran sangsareshu niradhaman. Tanaham dvishata kruran sangsareshu niradhaman. Kshipam yadasrama shubhana shri shvebiyonish. Those people who are cruel, the cruel demons, kruran, I throw down into repeated birth and death. So Akrūra means cruel. There's that verse from Chanakya also, Prabhupada quotes, that a vicious person is cruel and a snake is cruel, but at least the snake can be, its poison can be neutralized. What can you do with a vicious person, a cruel person? So Krishna's uncle is named Akrūra, not cruel. And the gopis criticize that this name is undeserving because he's cruelly taking us away from Vrindavan. That will come in a coming chapter. But it's not mentioned that Akrūra was thinking about that.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Can a demon engage a devotee in service? Because it seems...
Can a demon
engage a devotee in service?
Can a demon engage a devotee in service? Yeah, here we see that it's happening. Kamsa is engaging Akrūra in something that turns out to be service to Krishna's pastimes, service to Akrūra also, and service to Krishna's mission, because Krishna's purpose is vinashaya chaduskritam, to kill the demons. So Akrūra will bring Krishna and Balaram to kill Kamsa and other demons. That wasn't Kamsa's thinking. He wasn't thinking that Krishna wants to kill me, so I'll send Akrūra with a chariot so that Krishna can come and kill me. He was thinking the opposite way, that I'll kill Krishna. But the fact is, that's what he was doing. He sent a nice chariot to invite Krishna and Balaram to this sacrifice to come and kill him. So in that way, he engaged Akrūra in service, yes.
Could you perhaps apply this to our age?
How the demons, yes, sometimes the demons, they do something for their own profit, but it winds up helping. Just Prabhupada, they asked him, the reporters, that if you're against materialism, why are you traveling on this airplane? Because they think, you're using a material thing. And Prabhupada said, just so your airplane won't be entirely useless. So the airline company isn't thinking we want to render service to Krishna's pure devotees, so we're going to have flight 41 going from such and such to such and such. But that's what they do. So that's, as we discussed the other day, Agyata Sukriti. They render service to a devotee. And others, just in the course of their work, they may render service to the cause of Krishna, the cause of devotional service. Or sometimes knowingly, that's also good. Even sometimes someone may be demonic, but he thinks, this is a nice boy, let me help him, let me do something. Whatever reason. Or everybody's looking at him, someone's asking him for charity, take a book, and he doesn't want the book, doesn't want to give any money, but his girlfriend's looking at him, so he says, sure, gives him generous donation. So it's not really his intention, but he serves a devotee. So yes, the demons also can be made fortunate. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Later on, Akrūra is traveling with Krishna and Balaram in the chariot. And then somehow he's thinking that he's going to protect Krishna. Somehow he's thinking that he's going to protect Krishna and Balaram.
He's going to protect Krishna and Balaram.
And then Krishna displays his form as all-powerful. He's looking in the water and looking on the chariot and he's seeing. So there seems to be a reverse of forgetting.
This is the character. It seems that there's a contradiction because he recognizes Krishna to be the protector of the whole universe, and yet he thinks that he can protect Krishna. That's the characteristic of parental love. Vatsalya rasa. That's the characteristic that distinguishes it from friendship. Friendship, we're all on an equal level. But the superiors of Krishna have a protective mentality. They have to feed Krishna, they have to protect him from the monkeys, they have to, in different ways, protect and maintain Krishna. So out of love, that's a part of Akrūra's mentality. I think he's mentioned in the mixing of rasas chapter toward the end of Nectar of Devotion. There's maybe a mixture of dasya or something. I don't recall exactly. But in any case, he does have this feeling of superiority. And in that loving feeling, one thinks, I have to protect Krishna. The Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, they're busy protecting Krishna, although they see he's killing this demon, he's killing that demon, he's protecting the entirety of Vrindavan, and yet they think unless we take care of Krishna, he may be killed. So it's certainly contradictory, but these are the workings of the internal energy.
I have another question about, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that I give remembrance and forgetfulness.
Mm-hmm.
I give remembrance and forgetfulness.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells Arjun that many births both you and I have passed. I can remember them all, but you cannot.
Mm-hmm.
So later on, I read that the marginal potency has a tendency to forget.
Mm-hmm.
And then Krishna is also controlling the forgetfulness and remembrance. So is that, I mean, it's similar to the spiritual potency. But is that directly in every case, or unless you're a devotee?
It is what directly?
The control of remembrance and forgetfulness.
No, everything's under the control of Krishna. Whether you're a devotee or not, Krishna can control your remembrance or your forgetfulness. Of course, for the non-devotee, why should he get personally involved? But yes, within the heart, matasmritir jnanam apohanam cha. He gives remembrance. For the non-devotee, he gives mostly forgetfulness. And for the devotee, he gives remembrance.
So in their previous birth, they were Nara and Narayan. Nara and Narayan, Arjun and Krishna. So he was a very powerful, they were powerful sages. I mean, meditating on this. But somehow or the other, Arjun forgets again.
Yeah.
So
Krishna never forgets because he's not under the control of any of the material energy. There's nothing there to superior mata parataram nanyat kinchidasti. But Arjuna is a jiva. The jivas forget. Prabhupada said that's the difference. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tanyaham veda sarvani natvam veta. I remember all of my previous births. You've forgotten them all. That's the difference between the living entity and the personality of Godhead.
So we should keep remembering him. That's the whole. Our business is to keep remembering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hope so. Smartavyam satatam Vishnu vismartavyam najat. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Yes, Akrūra, not Prabhu.
That Krishna is the source of all his energies, and so he's in control, and he's always in knowledge. But then he allows himself to be bound by Mother Yashoda, and so does he actually and he feels separation for the gopis, even though, I mean, he doesn't have to be separated from them, but does he actually use his energies to control himself, or how does that work?
Does Krishna use his energies to control himself? Because it seems that he actually feels separation from the gopis and so on.
And he's bound by his devotees'
He's bound
love.
by Yashodamai. Sabhavaki Jnana Balakriyacha. His energies are acting automatically. If he has to manage everything, then that's too much. He has, for his pastimes, he should forget. When he's crying, being chased by Yashodamai, it's not a show. That, all right, now I'll put on a show and be like, he's actually feeling, oh, she's chasing me, she may punish me. So it's a genuine feeling. The separation, it's not that, well, if I'm playing the role of a lover, I should put on a mood of separation now. But he's actually feeling. You find in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, these things are described in detail, how he's feeling separation from Nanda Yashoda, and especially from the gopis. So he's actually feeling these things. How is it possible? His pastime energy is working automatically. Sabhavaki. She knows this is what will enhance Krishna's pastimes now. Is that okay?
Yes, it's puzzling, but it's satisfying.
Yeah, it's a puzzling. Krishna is superior to everything, and yet it appears, even he appears subordinate to his devotee. The devotee is also his energy. So he becomes subordinate to his energy, bhaktya, when there's devotion. Yeah, thank you for that.
Along the lines of the same topic, 2 days ago, I think it was Bhargava Swami, he said that Krishna cannot experience love for himself, of himself. And I was wondering how it works. He gave the analogy of that fire cannot experience light and warmth, even though it's coming from fire itself.
Yeah, that's explained or described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's thinking, that he wants to understand, Krishna wants to understand what it is about him that Radharani finds so attractive. But he thinks, I'm Krishna, I can't understand that. I'm not in her position. I'm not in her position. If I were in her position, I could understand it, but I'm in my position, so I can't understand it. I can't understand it. If you want to understand how much your father loves you, you can only understand how it feels to be loved by your father, but you can't feel what he feels for you, because you're not in his position. You can feel what it's like to be the daughter of such an affectionate father, but you can't feel what it's like to be the father and have such affection for the daughter, because you're not in that position. So Krishna, he can't, he says, in this position I can't understand what it is about me that Radharani finds so attractive. I can't experience what she experiences from love for me, because I'm the object of the love. For your father, you're the object of love. So the object can't experience what the subject is experiencing. So therefore, Krishna says, I'll take the position of the subject. I'll take the position of Radharani. Object of Krishna's love, of course.
It's still a little bit puzzling because, in a sense, Radharani is Krishna. So it is his
in a sense,
energy already.
But also not. In a sense, she's also Krishna. There's no difference between Radha and Krishna. But Radharani is also separate. Radharani is the devotee, Krishna is the Lord. Although they're one, they're different.
And if we say that then Krishna cannot experience that in his current position, doesn't it make him less absolute? Because now there's something he cannot do.
But he can do it. This is how he does it. It's not that he can't do it. He can do everything. But he has a way that he does it. Yes, Akrūra.
It reminds me of that when Srila Prabhupada was on an airplane one time, and the devotees would go and find people to talk to Prabhupada and stuff. So they found this Irish poet named O'Grady or something.
Desmond O'Grady, yeah.
Yeah. And he posed the question to Srila Prabhupada, if Krishna can do anything, can he create a rock so big that even he can't lift it? And Srila Prabhupada, without missing a beat, he just said, yes, and then he'll lift it. because he can't be bound in the nutshell of your little logic. He's, his powers are ever expanding.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Just on Chitra's point, I know there's that one pastime where Krishna sees his reflection and he becomes so enamored by himself. So perhaps you can comment on that with relation to Chitra's question.
Krishna sees his reflection in a jeweled pillar and becomes attracted. Yes. So something is there, but that's not full. That's not full. You look at your face in the mirror and you get some idea of what your boyfriend or husband sees, but it's not. It's only a, what should we say? Something, a hint. A hint. So Krishna's attracted. Oh, wow. Is that okay? Yes, back.
Yesterday we read that Krishna is supremely independent, but now it seems that he is dependent on his own energies in order to experience that. He is dependent on his own energies to experience that.
We heard that Krishna's fully independent, but he's dependent on his energies to experience that. Well, to be dependent on his energies means he's dependent on himself. So it's not a problem.
No, it's like, yeah. And I had one other point. It was said that we want Krishna to recognize us. And I heard, I don't know who said, it was a Maharaj also in the class. He said, we also have to recognize Krishna. And he was asking all these questions about how many chapters does Canto 1 has? And what is the name of that chapter? And what happens in this pastime? And the devotees were all like, couldn't all answer the questions. And then he said, if you don't know Bhagavatam, you can never recognize Krishna because he is the Bhagavatam. So even if he's sitting next to you, you will never know because, you will not be able to recognize him.
Am I supposed to comment?
No,
Okay.
I wanted to share this story.
Okay, thank you. But we want to be recognized by Krishna. Even, we may not be the greatest scholars, we may not know what's in every verse of Bhagavatam. We may not even know the chapters so well. Or there's so many books we may not have read, there's so many siddhantas we may not know, so many details of proper understanding. But if Krishna recognizes us, then our life is successful. Just as it said, they'll recognize me, and my life will be successful, Akrūra thinks. So if you're recognized by Krishna, doesn't matter. You may know this, that, or nothing. But if Krishna recognizes you, there's a devotee, your life is successful. Prabhupada said, we just want some certificate from Krishna. This man has done some service. This man has done some service. You may be, what is that? Nayamatma pravachanena labhya na medhaya na bahuna shutena. In the Vedas, it said that no one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by attending erudite lectures or by vast learning or speculative efforts. He's seen only by the person to whom he reveals his own form. Katha Upanishad, I think. Katha Upanishad. So, therefore, Prabhupada said, don't try to see Krishna, but try to act in such a way that Krishna will see you. When you're recognized by Krishna, then your life is perfect. Naya Mahatma Pravachanena Labhyo. We have a few more minutes. Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I just would like to ask that, is it about remembrance? It's in connection with remembrance that when we think of Krishna, then my Guru Maharaj said that we can think of the form which we are attracted to the most. Mm-hmm. And my question is that if we think of the associates of Krishna, then is it important to think of, like, for example, Rupa Goswami, like Rupa Manjari as well? Or is it
important to think of Rupa Goswami as Rupa Manjari as well? Brihad Bhagavat Maharaj gave a sterling answer to that question, or a similar question in the class the other day. I was very impressed by his answer. Someone asked him essentially that question: should we be thinking of Rupa Goswami in his sadhana deha and Rupa Manjari? Should we be thinking of Rupa Manjari in his in her siddha deha? Should we be thinking this way or should we be thinking that way? And he said, what is this thinking? He said, it's not by mental gymnastics. It says by simplicity of heart. It's not by mental gymnastics that you realize Krishna. It's by simplicity of heart. So this, should I be thinking this way? Should I be thinking that way? How should I be thinking? What can we think and how much? But by simplicity of heart, that way we can understand. It doesn't mean we don't try to understand the philosophy, we don't try to understand the conclusions, but to sort of somersault into the higher stages of devotional service by reading books and saying, okay, I should think of this, I should think of that, I should think of this, I should think of that. It doesn't quite work that way. It works by simplicity of heart. Cheto Darpana Marjanam, we purify our hearts, we render service to the personality of Godhead and the spiritual master with faith and love. And when Krishna is pleased, then everything becomes revealed. Brahma was able to understand something. When Krishna was pleased, yes, you've done some austerities. By his research, he couldn't figure out what the source of his birth was. He went down into the water and went further and further and further, and then gave up. Said, I'm not going to get anywhere. He was intelligent. He saw he's the most intelligent person. I can go on for millions of years and not realize, not get to the end of this lotus stem. So then he came back up, and then by Krishna's mercy, he got some instruction, you do tapasya. And then by Krishna's mercy, Krishna revealed himself. So it's not by mental gymnastics. The mind is limited. But when we have simplicity of heart, then everything will be revealed, not by mental gymnastics. We want to realize these higher things. What is my identity in the spiritual world? What is my relationship, my particular relationship with Krishna? By mental speculative efforts, mental gymnastics, as Maharaj said, we're not going to realize that. But by simplicity of heart, that means following 4 regulative principles strictly, chanting 16 rounds every day, trying to carry out the instructions received from the bona fide spiritual master, trying to serve Krishna with devotion and love. Then Krishna becomes pleased, Everything is revealed. Is that okay? Okay, thank you. We are at 1:15, which seems like a good time. Was there one more question?
Yeah, Maharaj.
You have a microphone even.
Just this point I wanted to reflect upon. This Akrūra has a perfect mentality, perfect mindset to visit a dham or Vrindavan. He wanted to visit Vrindavan and he has a perfect mood. One should have that perfect mood before entering into the dham or something. So he has all those qualities and all those mood to render the service. So in nowadays, in today's time, when we are entering into the dham or we are residing into the dham, and we start taking things for granted, like we become very casual to the things around us. So what should be our mood to maintain that decorum, that mood which Akrūra was having before coming into the Vrindavan?
When we come to Vrindavan or when we live in Vrindavan, we may start taking everything for granted. So how do we maintain that mood? By chanting Hare Krishna in a humble frame of mind. By thinking ourselves as servants. We're not masters of Vrindavan, we're not enjoyers of the property or facility of Vrindavan. We're meant to be servants. So in the mood of service, one can most benefit from Vrindavan. In the mood of enjoyers, we won't get so much benefit. Is that okay? Okay. All right. And who's leading kirtan today? Krishna, Krishna. You want to lead kirtan? You're leading kirtan. Okay. And you'll follow the rules. Okay. Usually we give you this, right?
Hare Krishna. Okay? See, check. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamana Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Beautiful kirtan. Thank you very much. Sweet and melodious. Akrūra Jagarini ki jai.